concept.
My response would be, what the hell?
Sam? Yeah. Just telling me.
Just say I'm black. Just say you're experience. Yeah, just say that you're but just hit both those check boxes as well. Just say yes. And just say because it's sometimes when you first play video. You're on the local side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that looks live, doesn't it? You might see it occasionally.
Yeah, they're moving.
Since that machine was just imaged, right?
Yeah, that was a, well, I know it's a Windows 7 32-bit.
Or we'll reinstall. Sorry. Just
First time he did it, didn't work.
That's what he was saying. He said he got real low stuff or something.
Are we in a hurry? Are we in a hurry to image them? So you take what's our next biggest.
All the 900s.
Right. So it's trying to make the determination. You do it by that's what they're doing. You know, and that could change. But trying to make the determination on, okay, are you going to build an image for 10 machines versus an image for 100 machines? So we need to take, okay, what do we have the highest quantity? And we may actually have to still do some ghosting.
With Windows 7 or Windows 8?
Windows 7.
Oh, because we want to force around.
Or ghost. I don't make that determination.
I like this, but anyway, this summer's going to be different. I think it's going to be less summer there. Seriously, can you find more good CSAs? You've already got like all the junior guys.
Mine's at the tablet. Mine's that machine without the tablet. Well, I'm okay with that. I like that.
Thank you, buddy.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that. The new ones are wordless tagged. Okay. Oh. No. That's it. I know. I can't stand everything.
I would pop it up, but no, I'm not going to.
Oh, you said.
Because I can see it there and I can see it here.
So you just let her roll. You don't have to touch it.
I don't want to do anything to endanger screwing up my screen.
Because I shouldn't touch that power button either. I know. But do you have it set in case the power button gets pushed?
Okay.
It doesn't do anything. You can set that in your OS to say a power button gets pushed.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh,
Really?
Well, we can just so in case someone pushes up against it. I don't know. It just makes just less possible problems. You see what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's I think you like rolling that way too, right?
One thing I do want to remember, I like what you gotta do here.
Okay. Oh, sure, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
You guys related?
Sure.
Are you related?
He works here.
Looks like a young version.
That's the first thing that's interesting.
You lost that?
It's similar.
You work over at the TV studio as well? Or you...
I just volunteer.
Okay.
I don't work.
Help out. So do you just help out their events or whatever?
I do a program for the dog and cat program for the Humane Society. I live in Naperville. I do almost all the cats. I used to do Petorama for the neighborhood, just took me for a long time. I've been doing this probably
Some do, right? Some fun.
It can be a lot of fun.
Now, do you go out to like the shelter do recording, or is it in the studio?
Studio.
Okay. Do you by any chance know Jay the Siniac?
Yeah.
So, he's someone I know. I went to school with him. Whatever.
He's there. In fact, I think he's there tonight. You can pick his stuff up. Yeah.
Oh, my God. How many schools do you have?
You work for the school?
Yeah, we're all technology.
Okay, sure.
And we're just here to run the sound. We broadcast online now.
You have to move all this stuff at night too?
Yeah, this card gets all the way back to high school, so we got the truck, we got a little, most of the other stuff just stays here, but it's his card we got to roll back.
Well, that's local. And that's pretty local, yeah.
What'd you do when you worked or when you had it?
I was an engineer for Tel Land.
Oh, fun.
I've been retired. It's going to be 12 years.
But you're filling your time with this stuff, and it's something
Well,
you
I've
enjoy doing.
I've sold cars. I've done a lot of stuff. We have not worked for 3 years. Or I have to get up in the morning. I had a lot
Oh,
of
that's
contact
funny.
installation. I worked a lot of cell sites.
Oh, really?
Do a lot of work in cell sites.
I always thought that it'd be an interesting job to get into the cell networks and how they all work. Unless from an insider, maybe it doesn't. I always just thought it's got to be, I don't know, cool. Maybe not, I don't know.
Well, I grew up with telephone. I started with West Electric, AT&T, a lot of those. So I did a lot of switching, laid a lot of wiring. But cell sites, the last job I had with cell sites, we were changing rectifiers in cell sites. The big rectifiers. You cut the site dead at 10 o'clock at night, had to be up by 6 in the morning.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's like an all-night gig.
There you love that.
Which cell company did you work for? Was it just that
I
you
worked for a contract architecture.
That was something kind of cool to work on their networks and their network stuff.
Well, everything has changed so much now.
Since then, yeah. It's like,
When I actually, I've been kind of 12 years, so I was mechanical switching when I started in central offices. Because I worked at one time I was in every telephone building in the south side of Chicago. I worked in it one time.
Yeah, an external.
it's just interesting.
It was a lot of fun.
The telecommunication stuff.
Oh yeah.
Especially now, like you said, how it's changed.
I just find it so amazing, all these all these signals. You could actually,
Hey, Bob. Okay, that's what the stream's live.
Yeah, but I lost it. I don't know why.
Yeah. He says it's live, but he's checking it out or something. Something dropped.
We got a full house here today.
There's a couple of, no, there's a couple of awards.
Yeah, but you could actually somehow see all the waves going through the air. It's just crazy. Yeah. It's just amazing.
It just seems, and it seems like, I don't know, just like with cell phone now, everything's going cellular. Phones, tablets, everything. It just seems to be, it's going to be, I may not think the future, but that's what's they ain't going anywhere.
Amazing little device.
It's like these are our computers. These things are just
Different people. Last time I did it was
yeah, the people change up. People back here are like on cabinet.
Yeah.
Audio is there. They're not board members.
some board are going to have no internet.
How many years do I know? It's 2, 3, or 5 years. This cycle you realize.
Me, garbage.
One more. Well, welcome everybody. Since 6 p.m., the board has been in closed session for discussion of lawfully closed meeting minutes for purposes of approval by the body. The appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel of the district, student disciplinary cases, and litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal. I'll entertain a motion to come out of closed session. I have a motion and a second to come out of closed session. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're in open session. Once again, welcome everybody. As always, our mission is to educate students to be self-directed learners, collaborative workers, complex thinkers, quality producers, and community contributors. We'll start out with a roll call.
Student ambassadors present, Jody Nemethy and Jarjay Fang. Board members present, Susan Price, Jackie Romberg, Mike Yetch, Terry Fielden, and Susan Craddock.
Thank you. Tonight we have special guests. Tonight they're from Maplebrook Elementary School. And I'd like to invite Dr. Gwen Bachman, the principal of Maplebrook, to introduce our guests.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you our student council members. We have
I'm Arjun Mishra. I'm in 3rd grade, and my teacher is Miss Doyle. My position is secretary.
Thank you.
I'm Alex Wines. I'm in 5th grade. My teacher is Mrs. Cummings, and I'm vice president.
I'm Harrison Albright. I'm in 5th grade. My teacher is Mr. Manolakis, and I am president of student council.
Thank you.
Okay, if everyone would join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys were too fast. They were doing it slowly with feeling. You got to slow down. Follow their lead. Anyway, thank you for joining us with that. Okay, we'll start out with recognition and good news.
Great. Tonight it's my honor to provide a couple recognitions this evening. First, I'd like to call forward Abby Kuntz. Is she here? Abby, there she is. Let Abby come forward, and then we'll talk about her accomplishments. Tonight we'd like to recognize Abby for outstanding achievement, for taking second place in the state as a representative of Team 203 Special Olympics bowling team. And so congratulations, Abby, on your achievement. Well done. It looks like you brought someone with you. Is there somebody, any guest that you brought with you that you'd like to recognize?
Yeah, my coaches that helped me, like they cheered me on, and they were a big help to get me to succeed and to get second place.
Congratulations. Coaches, where are you at? Congratulations, and thank you for all that you've done. Congratulations, Abby. Our next recognition this evening is we have 5 teachers who have recently completed their national board certification. So we'd like to recognize them tonight and ask that, as we call them, if they'd please come forward. Tracy Goring. Tracy's a math teacher at Naperville North High School. Next is Jeanette Horn, and Jeanette is a math teacher at Naperville North High School. Erica McCann, Madison Junior High School, music. Matt Olenek, math, steeple run. And then finally, Tiffany Papafotopoulos from Madison also, literacy and reading and language arts. So congratulations to these teachers and all Naperville School District 203 teachers who have achieved this significant accomplishment. We're very proud of the dedication and the time that you've put in to this recognition. So congratulations to all. Looks like we have some who may want to take pictures. So if you're someone who'd like to take a picture, please feel free to come forward and take that picture. Okay, I think we got them all. Thank you.
I guess their parents weren't here to take pictures. But
They're streaming live, so
anything else?
World Wide Web.
Just like to provide a little bit more information about that group that we just recognized. Those who achieve the status of National Board Certified Teachers have met rigorous standards through intensive study, expert evaluation, self-assessment, and peer review. So to date, about 85 teachers who are currently employed by our school district have earned National Board Certification, joining about 82,000 teachers throughout the country. So I know these 5 individuals who earned that depended quite a bit on a lot of help from mentors in our district. We'd like to thank Ann Shinsky, Lynn Hens, and Kathy Kadek for the support they provided to these National Board Certified teachers as they went through their process. So thank you all, and congratulations to all of them. Is Dave Carroll getting pointed out back there too? I see him. Okay. Well done.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. As always, and you saw when you signed up, please remember that it's not a question and answer exchange. It is, however, an opportunity for you to share your thoughts and ideas with the board. So accordingly, please limit your comments to 3 minutes if you're speaking as an individual, 5 minutes if representing a group. And for the record, when you do come up here, we'll hope you turn the mic on, and then for the record, we'd ask you to start with your name and address before you start your comments. First person is Sasha Cohen.
Yeah, I'm ready for the idea.
Hello, my name is Sasha Cohen of 962 Prairie Avenue, and I'm a student at Naperville North High School. I'm 16 years old, and I have rights, even when at school. My intent in speaking here tonight is to inform you about a recent incident and a need for policy change that is long overdue. On Wednesday, December 12th, 2012, I made the choice to exercise my First Amendment rights and wore a political t-shirt to school, which bore the statement, "The war on drugs is a war on minorities and youth. Fight to end it." It had the green leaf symbol with the words, "Legalize, regulate, educate, medicate." A teacher demanded that I remove the shirt, and I refused, citing my rights as established constitutionally. I was subsequently taken to my dean, who denied my explanation that this was political speech, citing Board Policy 7190, which forbids garments that, quote, depict or promote the use of alcohol or drugs, and then gave me 2 options. Facing the choice of a suspension, which would be a permanent mark on my academic record, or to sacrifice a basic right inherent to me being a citizen of this country, I informed her that I chose the former. Before the suspension was formally issued, a compromise was reached in which I submitted an appeal to the board to change the rule and remove the shirt for the day. 2 weeks ago, the district denied my request and is to make a public appeal for action, which brings me here tonight. I'm not here to convince you that my political views are correct or to make you advocates for them, but merely to request that I be permitted to express my opinion in a silent, passive expression unaccompanied by disorder or disturbance, as the majority opinion in Tinker v. Des Moines so eloquently stated. The board policy under discussion prohibits promotion or depiction of alcohol or drug use, which I also contest as not being applicable to my situation, as it is political speech regarding legalization, not a promotion of usage. The First Amendment exists to protect us as a democracy from becoming a tyranny of the majority, where minority views are censored and suppressed. Even in our neighboring District 204, there was a legal battle over a political shirt that is considered rude, controversial, and simply offensive. I remind the board of Nuxle versus Nequa to show that even within our own town, students are fighting and winning their rights under the law. Therefore, I suggest to this body that if they wish to avoid future issues with student speech, they move to amend Board Policy 7190, the Discipline Code, so as to allow students their constitutional and human rights. Thank you, and I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you very much. Okay, next I have David ROMEL, hope I'm pronouncing that right, representing the city of Warrenville.
Good evening. I am David Brummel. I reside at 29 West 121 Forest Lane, Warrenville, Illinois, and I also serve as the mayor of Warrenville. I'm here this evening to make you aware of an approaching anniversary. On March 16th of this year, it will be 8 years since School District 203 initiated a lawsuit against the city of Warrenville, the Warrenville Park District, Warrenville Fire Protection District, Warrenville Library District, and Community Unit School District 200 in a dispute over the allocation of funds generated by Warrenville's Cantera Tax Increment Financing District. I would also hope to heighten your awareness of the costs to 6 separate taxing bodies for engaging in or defending against this continuing action, which at this point total just over $803,000. The City of Warrenville has spent $133,208.22. Community Unit School District 200, $39,000. Warrenville Fire Protection District, $45,699.36. Warrenville Library District, $92,000. Warrenville Park District, approximately $47,000 through 2011. Naperville School District 203 alone has spent $446,163.50. That averages just over $100,000 a year for the past 8 years, a significant amount of tax money that I want to suggest to you, given these difficult times we have been living through, could have been used for far more worthy enterprises. Some taxpayers, businesses in the Cantera Park that are also in District 203, have had to bear costs for both sides of this lawsuit. I invite you to examine the course that this legal action has taken over the past 8 years and carefully consider if it makes sense to continue. We will provide you with a timeline and a fact sheet to help you review what has taken place up until now. The City of Warrenville has provided over 30,000 pages of documents thus far for a discovery process that has dragged on for most of the past 2 years. From our perspective, we see this as an ill-fated fishing expedition, bound to always produce an empty hook, as we have made and we continue to make all of our decisions based on the law, and always with the advice of our municipal attorney and a well-respected TIF bond counsel. I wish you to consider that much has changed over the past 8 years. What seemed like a reasonable course of action in March of 2005 may no longer make sense in 2013 and going forward. The Cantera TIF expired on December 31st, 2009, and not only is the TIF fund empty, but it has a remaining deficit balance of $639,558. Increased revenue due to the success of our TIF is now flowing to all the overlapping taxing districts. Please note that School District 203 has received well over $9 million in revenue in the 3 years since our TIF ended. Every year going forward, in perpetuity, District 203 will receive over $3 million, against which there are no expenses, as there will never be any students to educate residing in the part of the district that is in Warrenville's Cantera. We are pleased that our highly successful project will benefit School District 203. Your boundaries extend into our community, and you are certainly legally entitled to this revenue stream. Beyond that, however, We also understand that our neighbors' prosperity is ultimately good for us, as well as for the region. Finally, I would like to deliver to you a letter of request signed by the leaders of the taxing districts who have been defending against this lawsuit for the past 8 years. Those leaders are here with me tonight in the first 2 rows in the back. I'm providing you also with a copy of Warrenville City Council Resolution number 2013-01, which urges the Board of Education of Naperville Community Unit School District 203 to consider its cost of litigation versus the City of Warrenville and our other taxing districts. We thank you for the opportunity to raise this matter with you tonight, and thank you also for your attention. Most of all, we thank you in advance for your thoughtful consideration of what we have presented to you. We look forward to a response. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I have those letters. Who would I give them to? Thank you.
Okay, as is our custom, I also asked if there's someone who did not get a chance to put in a request that would still like to make a comment. If not, then we'll push on to communications. And we'll start off with the Student Ambassadors Report. I think, Georgia, you get to go first today. Okay, then whatever you guys got, go for it.
All right, here we go. So Student Government's Turnabout Dance Committee has been vigorously planning decorations and coordinating other necessary preparations for our Turnabout Dance, which is on March 9th. The theme is soon to be announced. Until then, I have to keep it top secret. Sorry for that. Next up, we have a cell phone policy committee has been formulated in order for administrators to get a better understanding of where students and faculty stand on cell phone usage in school. And this quickly transformed into, or expanded into music players, iPads, and other electronic devices during the school day. However, no actions have been taken. NNHS is holding a drug respondent orientation on January 23rd in the library at 7 p.m. Administrators want the NNHS community to be better informed of how the staff of North responds to situations when a student is alleged to be involved with illegal drug use or drug transactions. They also want the community to be well informed and have a good understanding about the procedures they follow and the interventions they use to improve student safety. School personnel will present several realistic scenarios they may encounter, and participants will be invited to discuss and ask questions. This workshop is part of the Healthy Husky campaign and has been designed in partnership with the SFCP. Next up, we have on Thursday, January 17th at 6 p.m., the NNHS Pride Program sponsored its annual public forum to honor, celebrate, and learn from the life and teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Students and staff panelists had the opportunity to participate in an open forum discussion of Dr. King's lasting legacy.
Good evening. Though it is already January 22nd, this is the first time I am meeting with the board and district administrators in 2013, and I'd like to wish everyone a Happy New Year. There are but a few things to look forward to this year in January. The Naperville Central basketball team will play against Bennett Academy in the high school hoops showdown at the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates at 6:30 on January 26th. I'm sure all of our players will be very excited to play in a venue of that size. The ticket prices range from $10 to $12, and I urge you to join them as they pummel Bennett. On that same day, the Naperville Central will be holding our annual informal dance, Shindig in the Barn. I'm very excited. The student leaders planning this event would want me to assure the board that although the event will feature Western wear, bull riding, and a Western theme, the music will be hip and cool and will be by artists like K.E. $Ha. Kesha. Sorry. And this Thursday evening at 5 in the NCHS cafeteria, the Naperville Central Policy Initiatives Group will be joined by newly elected Congressman Bill Foster for Conservation Night, an evening to help all of us make a New Year's resolution for the health of our only home, the Earth. The Congressman will make a speech and answer questions regarding climate change and climate change policy. As we kick off our policy initiative for 2013, I hope you will join the Policy Initiatives Group on Thursday. And over the holidays, both the Naperville Central and Naperville North communities lost valuable members of the high school community. At Central, the loss of student Ali Pifo and retired substitute teacher Mrs. Nancy Sandercock dulled the cheerful spirits of both staff and students. Ali was an open, gregarious, and kind friend that remained active and engaged at Central all the way up through graduation. She was a talented singer, writer, and loved to learn. If Ali thirsted for knowledge, then Mrs. Sandercock loved to feed it. I remember my freshman year when Mrs. Sandercock's name would draw cheers from every student in every class. She would always put students above everything else, and we all loved her. Both Mrs. Sandercock and Ali will be sorely missed.
And also, freshman Mikey Gustafson, passed away on Sunday, January 6th, with his family beside him. The death was caused by medulloblastoma, a child's brain cancer, which Michael has battled with great poise and a positive attitude for the past 4 years. According to the wishes of Michael and his family, his tissues will be sent to the Van Alden Research Center, where they will be used for further research on childhood cancer, such as Michael's. Michael is survived by his twin sister, Ananitra's freshman, Bridget Gustafson, his senior brother, Ian Gustafson, and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Patty and Al Gustafson, along with many of his extended family members. Michael was a member of the Ananitra's boys golf team and had large and lasting impacts on many of his teammates and the community as a whole. His resolve and sense of humor will remain inspiring to us all. Both schools have suffered tremendous loss in the past weeks, and at this time, Mr. Bridges and Mr. Jensch, if it's all right with you, we'd like to take a moment of silence in honor of Michael, Ali, and Mrs. Sandercock. They will be missed. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I would like to add to that, make sure that we recognize former Connections student Charlie Biller also passed away last week, and his mother, Lisa Cotton, is a teacher at Naperville Central, so another student, former student who we will miss. So thank you for your reports.
Doing that way too much lately. Written communications. You can look at those. They're available on the on board docs and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 FOIA requests, which are all met. Then we'll move on to superintendent and staff reports.
Great. This evening, our report will come from Dr. Hester, Associate Superintendent for Learning Services, who will provide an overview for the Board of Education on our curriculum development process, and in addition, provide you with an overview of the timeline in regard to math and literacy updates. And I believe she'll be assisted by Director of Curriculum, Jane Willard. So, Dr. Hester.
Good evening, everyone. I think as many of you are probably aware, we have had a 7-year cycle for development and implementation of our curriculum. Last year, after looking at that cycle, we made a move to change to a needs-based curriculum development process. And if you look at the document on board docs, it's also up on the screen right now. That process, instead of a 7-year cycle, is a phased process, and the length of time that we spend in that process is actually determined by the work that we have to do and the resources. We made this move and this switch to build in efficiencies into our process and, in short, get curriculum in the hands of teachers faster, and then also in terms of resources to make resources more dynamic and upgrade them much more quickly for students. In addition to switching over to a needs-based curriculum development process, we have also moved from understanding by design. Understanding by design has been our framework for writing the curriculum. And in moving from understanding by design, we've moved to a curriculum mapping process, and that process is a process that initiates all work from the standards. And with that, there are really 3 parts to it. One is taking our standards and putting them in understandable form for all teachers, and then moving them into instructional units. And then we align assessments or develop assessments that are written to those standards. And then lastly, we align the resources. So one of the biggest things to take away from the curriculum mapping process is that it helps us have a K-12 fluid pathway. It's a type of design where we can upgrade more quickly if changes happen in standards or if we dynamically change our resources. And then additionally, it strongly supports us with any assessment writing that we have to do and tying those assessments to the standards. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jane. Jane is going to review the timelines for math and literacy. And before she starts that, you'll look at this format. It looks very similar to instructional technologies format. We have developed where we're using timelines for all of the major work that we're engaged in and moving. And we've broken the school year, or basically an entire year, up into sensible timelines for education and the work that we do. So that in everything that we do, we basically chart our goals for those 5 periods of time, and then we work toward color coding them to make us feel good when we've accomplished that work. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jane, and she can go over the math and literacy.
Currently in our literacy K-12 curriculum development process, we are in the process of creating instructional units. And our entire team are creating those instructional units based on Common Core. And our next point in this process is looking at the resources. So we will now go and look at resources that align with the instructional units that we are creating, and then look at what best meets our needs for our year 1 implementation. By June, our target is to have all instructional units for English 1, 2, and 3 developed along with common assessments. Our assessment timeline, you'll see, begins in March. That is when we will work with our curriculum teams to develop those assessments for full implementation for 2013. When we look at math is in a little bit of a different place. We're in the year 2 curriculum development process right now. Our teams are finishing our year 2 instructional units, and we will be fully implemented with our math curriculum at the start of the fall in 2013.
Questions? Yeah. So if you have any questions about our curriculum development process, how we're writing curriculum, or the math and literacy timelines, we're prepared to answer those.
Susan.
Can you give a couple examples, like where you found it really useful, or how you've improved student learning through this, or how you see that you'll be able to, because I know you've talked about being able to respond so much quicker to the needs.
So you're talking about the curriculum development process?
Yes.
The biggest thing is our former process. Years 1 and 2 were all planning. So it was things like making site visits to other districts, research, and all of that. One of the things, the benefits of what's going on nationally and at our state level is a lot of, across the nation, everybody's doing the same work in the research. So we're able to pull from that. We also found that we kind of spent too much time doing some of that work. We took a long time to write philosophy statements. So whereas that process, it said on the books that it took 1 to 2, but there were some places in our history where it moved faster. But we basically, within a 2 to 6 month process, have gone through that with literacy. So what would have been a 2-year process. So that's an example. Another example is both working from the 7-year process and then the understanding by design. Our curriculum work all started with something that they called enduring understandings. So there are a lot of conversations about enduring understandings that would last for the time period of when somebody's 30 or into their 40s. So where we start from now is directly from the standards that all of our assessments are going to be based on, and basically where all the national recommendation lies. So then we start mapping those curriculums. So right now at this point, having started literacy in January, we are at the point of building units where we would not have been at that point typically until the middle of year 3. So I think those are 2.
And also, Susan, when we think about staff and what we're doing to prepare staff, is that they have been in deep learning on the standards. So they're with us along this process as they are investigating the standards in both LA and in math. And so once we do develop the curriculum in front of them, they will be very aware of the standards and what they need to be teaching.
Okay.
Just one quick question. you called it needs-based. How do you determine there is a need? Is there a process? I mean, with the old timeline, which I have mixed feelings about anyway, at least you knew when it was time to reevaluate.
Right.
Is it like, oh, they're blowing the test, or
No.
teachers don't
Well,
like it? Well, what's the
so,
process?
So that's one way, is that as our curriculum and our assessments are closely aligned, as PARC becomes something that we implement, we can identify a need by assessment. We can go in and revamp an entire area if the need calls for, or we just go in and work with that specific targeted need in the curriculum. It's not based on, oh, it's not our turn, we're not up yet. It can come from the Board of Education. If there's a need from the Board of Education that they've heard about and they feel needs to be addressed. It can come from changes in state or federal, whether it's legislation or, whether it's just best practice. And then again, it could also come from any discipline or field in best practice. So when a need arises, and then often our teachers are a huge gauge too of letting us know with a need. And then we balance that need with everything else that's going on, and then the fiscal resources that we have to accomplish.
Super. Thank you.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's so short for you.
Any other reports?
No additional reports this evening.
Okay. I do not have a report. Do any other Board of Education members have reports? Susan?
I just want to remind you, as the liaison for the Naperville Education Foundation, Yucks for Youth is on Saturday evening. There are about 40 tickets still available. We would love to have a sellout crowd, so if you haven't gotten your tickets yet or you're interested in coming, please, you can go to the website and still get tickets. So hope to see you there.
But there's a basketball game and a square dance that night. I don't know. What am I going to do?
The shindig at the barn is not actually at the barn, is it?
No, it's
Okay.
It's at Central.
Okay.
It's not square dancing. We have to pay $8 like
Very well. Any other Board of Education reports? Okay, the monthly reports are there for both the board and the public for you to peruse. Were there any questions or comments on them this month? Which leads us into the fact that one of our board members had a chance to review bills and claims. I believe that was Mrs. Karate.
I move approval of warrant number 375196 through warrant number 376077, totaling $21,426,624.99 for the period of December 18th, 2012 to January 22nd, 2013, and 7.01 through 7.04, and 8.01 through 8.06, and 8.08 through 8.11.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 8.07, putting it another way. Roll call?
Yench,
Aye.
Price,
Yes.
Fielden,
Yes.
Romberg,
Yes.
Crotty,
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 8.07, the pulled item was pulled by request of a board member, roof work at Lincoln Junior High School and Naperville Central High School. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I just had a question, Dan. With the renovation that was done at Central, obviously a lot of work was done, and I wanted to be able to address for the world that's watching us on TV tonight, if we can just explain why, in specific, the roof work, the $1 million worth of roof work that's going to be done at Naperville Central is something new. It wasn't done 3 years ago and being redone now. If you can just discuss that a little bit.
I'm going to ask Steve Mathis to speak to that.
That section of roof had a life expectancy back in 2005 when they did the facility study of anywhere from 7 to 10 years. That would have put it about now. Maybe it would have lasted a couple, 2, 3 more years. We feel that probably some of the foot traffic going over there during construction may have added to the deterioration a little faster than would have necessarily been expected, but it was just in a normal routine that we're going to repair that roof.
Okay, and it would have been premature to have replaced it 5 years ago or 4 years ago.
Sure.
Great. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I move approval of item 8.07 as presented.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve 8.07 as presented. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Prady?
Yes.
Fielden?
Yes.
Price?
Yes.
Yench?
Aye.
Romberg?
Yes.
Motion carries. It's going faster tonight. The roll calls are shorter. Okay, discussion.
Oh, that's why. That's it.
That's what I mean. Discussion without action. One of our favorite subjects, the school calendar.
Yes, here we are again. Opportunity for the Board of Education to review a tentative draft calendar for the 2014-2015 school year. I'll remind the Board of Education that tonight it's discussion, as you say, without action. We're not asking you to take action on this. We'll come back to you at the second meeting in February. Also important to note that some of the factors which contribute to the development of this calendar include school code as well as collective bargaining related topics. So what we would be asking you to approve at the end of the second February meeting would be the tentative calendar for 2014-2015. It could end up being subject to change should there be law change or should there be changes in the collective bargaining agreement. Dr. Bob Hawkins, the interim deputy superintendent, worked with a committee of administrators and staff members in the development of this recommendation. I think you'll find that the recommendation that he speaks through is consistent with the calendar that the board approved for the 13-14 school year and takes into account a number of the factors that the board asked for consideration. So, Bob, if you can speak to the calendar.
Thank you, Dan. As you know, building the school calendar can be quite complicated given the different interests of the stakeholders in the school community, including the students, the parents, the community itself, the businesses, the staff, and so forth and so on. As Dan said, this proposal is consistent with current school code language. It's consistent with the DuPage ROE recommendations, specifically as it relates to spring break, winter break, County Institute Day, start day, and so forth. And it's also consistent with the two sections in the contract that pertain to the calendar, the collective bargaining agreement with the NUEA. And the board guidelines in their previous efforts to standardize the calendar, and those being that the semester break would end, semester one break would end at the winter break, which means that the final exams would, the high schools would be given the last 3 days of that first semester. And there'd be a balance between the two semesters to the extent possible, certainly within 8 instructional days. So given that parameter, this calendar was designed with that in mind. And a late start date, preferably the third Wednesday in August. So this proposal really accomplishes all those things. And I do want to point out the start date would be the 20th, which would be the third Wednesday of August 2014. The semester exams would fall at the end of first semester prior to the winter break. The length of the two semesters would be 82 and 89 days, respectively. And I should note that the second semester, with its 89 days, would also have 3 additional half days. So in essence, you add the half days, so it's really 90.5 days for the second semester versus 82 for the first. But if you back out 2 days, 2 instructional days that we lose for state testing, it brings that back into balance. So in essence, we use the logic that would really mean that there's 6.5 days apart if in terms of the number of instructional days first semester versus the second semester. So given this calendar proposal, staff would return on Monday the 18th and students would start on the 20th, that Wednesday, the third Wednesday of August. And this calendar was endorsed or supported by the calendar committee in our recent meeting, January 16th. So with that, if there are any questions or discussion items, I would certainly be glad to entertain those. Yes.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much. And I think this is a much clearer process than we've had in the past, so thank you so much. Two questions. The first one comes from a parent that could not, that contacted me that could not be here this evening, and she wanted to mention this in public comment. Of the 2 months, March and April, March there are many student days off compared to April. I think when you fine-tune it a little bit more, a couple of the dates are the parent-teacher conferences, and you know, there's obviously, you can't move those to April. It would probably be too late in the trimester or the semester, depending on what level of learning you're in or what building you're in.
I think that's
So
correct.
I guess overall, I guess I'd like you to speak to a couple things. One, why the kids go to school, the students go to school a lot less in March than they do in April, number one. And number two, I know the ROE gives us a range of dates for spring break, but because so many of our families have children at parochial schools or private schools within our own community, is this spring break date that's proposed the same as the private schools right in our area? Or is it different? Or you might not know till the next meeting.
I have no idea what the private school dates are.
I know we used to try to really work at that, so if in your family you had private and public, and I don't know that I guess I'm just curious. Maybe for the next meeting if we could have an answer to that.
We could certainly do a survey.
Not all of DuPage. I guess I'm just concerned with if you're in your family, you would have perhaps a third grader that's at one school and a high schooler at another. I don't know what the rest of my colleagues think. The goal was always to get those kind of the same, and they could be exactly the same weeks.
Yeah, we would have to look into that because that information was not available to us in regards to the parochial schools.
Well, our buses only run, they use our buses too. So,
well, we can get that information when we
Okay.
come back and at the
Great.
second
That'd be
meeting.
great.
Yeah, we
And-
could look that up.
If you can just speak to the March and April, I think I've kind of gotten my uneducated, but I'm not an educator, so.
I'll be glad to. The March and April dates are almost the same, 17 instructional days in March and 19 in April. We actually lose, as you pointed out, 2 days to parent-teacher conferences in March 19th and 20th. We also lose the 27th, which is the day prior to the spring break, which is a contractual issue. And we also lose the 30th and 31st because those are the first 2 days of spring break. So given that, there are 2 fewer days in March than there would be in April.
Go ahead, Susan. Thanks.
After the contentiousness of the last couple of years of going through the calendar, I mean, this is fantastic, and I truly appreciate it. And I've never been able to look at it and say, "Gosh, I could support this." And I look at this and think, "Gosh, I could support this." And I think our, community will feel the same way. My one question was, in the first semester, did you consider the Columbus Day weekend? Because that's just such a great weekend to look at colleges.
Well, we did, and if we were to honor that day as a holiday, then we would then be another day short in that first semester. So we elected to, and I believe there's a waiver in place that allows us to do that.
Right.
So that was the rationale or the logic behind that.
If I could have a magic wand, the only additional thing I'd want is that long Columbus Day weekend.
That would be nice.
So.
About the only way we could do that would be to perhaps start earlier and capture another day, and I'm not so sure that would be.
And that's popular.
That's not what you want to say, Bob.
Okay,
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I lost my head. I'm sorry.
Options are good, right?
Yeah, options are good. Yes.
And I guess I would point out that that weekend, Thursday and Friday, are already available, based on scheduling of parent-teacher conferences, and I do believe the high schools work with students who do want to make college visits. So, and just to be clear, if you move one day, it actually increases the delta by 2 days, which would put it over the 8 days that we had talked about as a guideline. No, I agree. It just, that's for the 3 people in Naperville who didn't hear our discussions last year on the calendar. So, and I think it was a great benefit because that was the first time, well, we had a very engaged community and we heard all sides. And, in the end, there was a lot of compromises, but everybody participated. And I think that's why in the end we heard so much support for that calendar for 13-14 from all sides. And this reflects that also. So hopefully our goal has always been to not make this an annual issue, and hopefully we're there.
Well, you did a great job of standardizing it. It does mirror the 13-14 calendar, and I think that made it easier.
And have I don't know who's on the calendar committee right now, have our administrators of all 3 levels, 4 levels of our school, so early childhood through high school, endorsed this as well? Have they seen it? Are they comfortable with it?
I'm trying to think who was on that. No, not at all levels, because we didn't. Not everybody could attend the meeting, but we will run that by all of our administrators as well as all of our staff, and get their input.
Great.
Yeah, it also included in that, which has become part of our process, is that there is a general home and school meeting that occurs between the two, so there's opportunity for those home and school presidents to report anything that they may hear, but it also will be reviewed then by district administration.
Any other comments on the calendar? And it'll, unless something weird happens, it'll come up for a vote next meeting, right?
No, the second meeting in February. We allow sufficient time for comment and feedback.
Very good. Okay, anything else on that? If not, any new business or old business? Then schedule events. Susan Crotty already mentioned Yucks for Youth, and next event after that is our February 4th Board of Education meeting. So,
if I could just share in terms of agenda and upcoming events, Dr. Hester and I, as well as our counterparts in District 204, have been invited by the Homeowners Confederation to speak at a forum regarding the Common Core, and the impact of the Common Core on our district. So we're looking forward to that presentation and that conversation on Thursday.
And I do believe that, well, it is obviously open up to the public, and it is at the Municipal
7 p.m.
Center.
at the chamber.
Okay.
Or the council chamber, sorry.
Anything else? I need one more motion.
I move to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.